Well, we're going to have a fun show tonight.
Yes, we are.
This is our hump show, middle of the week. I'm with Faye. What?
Does that mean that we hump? No?
I'm back.
The lesbian said.
What? What? You guys are too busy on your OnlyFans pages to know what I'm talking about.
Right, all the boys here are on their are on their grinder as we speak.
I don't have
And
none of that.
John Buckley is here with us tonight.
In the house.
You know, hey, when's the next House of Lords event going to be? Or, House of Lords.
The next House of Lords event, I think we're planning something later on, but like June.
I want to come. I want to come.
He wants to go.
You want to go?
Yes.
I'll remember that.
Unofficial House of Lords member, Al Ferguson.
I'll be the only white guy there.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday, March 31st, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. The world's first live daily queer evening news show, Out of the Closet and Into the Headlines on Q News Tonight.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it.
This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's welcome anchor Faye. What? She's out, she's proud, and gosh, I've said this 1,000 times. She's most certainly loud.
I'm not that loud.
Yes, you are.
I am.
She's a Latina to be reckoned with. Half Puerto Rican, half Colombian, 100% freaking Jersey. There's lots of genetic makeup there. She is a radio personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel called Faye What? Aiming to unite the L and the G together, she's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, a board member at Unity Coalition, as well as host of their new television show, UCTV. An animal advocate and owner of Faye's Fur Family. We told you this is live. Of the new happening, and also the anchor of the new Happening Out Travel News show. My goodness, Faye, what a hard introduction that was.
You said hard. Hola, mi gente. I'm so happy to be here. What's up? Let's get this party started.
That's right. We're going to have fun tonight. Well, also next, let's welcome John Buckley. He is a client advisor at Ramoa, vice president and program director of the nonprofit organization Unity Coalition. Oh, y'all have met before, I see. And as well, he is the creator of the initiative Kioba, a free traveling social event that features inspiring speakers, topics, and a safe space for all same-sex, same-gender, loving men of color. Plus, he is known as Buck Lords from the famous House of Lords. Good evening, John.
Thank you for having me, Al. It feels great to be back.
Well, tonight and we're happy you're here. Tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, March 31st. We begin by queering up breaking Q news. The Transgender Day of Visibility. Each year on March 31st, the world observes Transgender Day of Visibility to raise awareness about transgender people. It is a day to celebrate the lives and contributions of trans people while also drawing attention to the poverty, discrimination, and violence that this community faces. Created in 2010 by trans advocate Rachel Crandall, the head of Transgender Michigan, created the day in response to the overwhelming majority of media stories about transgender people being focused on violence. She had hoped to create a day where people could refocus on celebrating the lives of transgender people. For the trans community in 2021, these are literally the best of times, but these are also the worst of times. We have seen dramatic support for the community with the new White House, the Justice Department, the Pentagon, and more. The U.S. Senate just recently confirmed Dr. Rachel Levine, the highest trans cabinet post in history. Other elected officials like Sarah McBride and Stephanie Byers now have seats at that long-awaited table. But more needs to be done, as the trans community is also under relentless attack from the likes of Tucker Carlson and Fox News, the radical Republican right, and the evangelical community. So at Queer News Tonight, we take a moment to celebrate, so we also remember there is still so much to do. So we mark the 2021 Transgender Day of Visibility.
You know what, boys? I think I talked to Al about this a couple of days ago, that there was a poll that GLAAD had took out back in 2015, and it was a Harris poll that said that a mere 16% of Americans knew someone or worked with someone that was transgender. 16%. All right, that was 5 years. That same poll was taken in 2020, and it was up to 20%. We are nowhere near where we need to be. But a day like this, a Transgender Day of Visibility, is so important, and it points us in the right direction.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Faye. Yes, now that they have a seat at the table, what's most important is that the work that they've strived so long and hard for continues to succeed, and they get the same rights as we all are fighting for, and be treated like we're all a part of the same community.
We continue to talk about as it relates to trans issues. One big note is that T is under attack, and LGBTQ, the wedge issue of the fringe conservatives and religious evangelicals, is the T. It's not the L and the G and the B and the Q. Second, we've reported at Queer News Tonight that a significant majority of Americans support the LGBTQ community, including the Equality Act, which is specifically designed to help improve the enforcement and protection to the trans community. And we have also reported at Queer News Tonight that studies show that when the traditional community gets to know issues related to trans community and people in the trans community, their support increases dramatically. It is an education issue to overcome ignorance. And that's what a day like today is all about, for visibility.
Yes, sir. Next up, we queer up gay culture. White Party Palm Springs postponed from April to Halloween. Circuit Party promoter Jeffrey Sanker has announced this year's White Party Palm Springs has been postponed until October. Last year's event was canceled because of COVID-19. This year's event was due to take place this April 23rd through 26th. Many of those attending would have been those still holding tickets for last year's event. On his website, Sanker says this event will return for a 3-day festival and, quote, new beginnings over Halloween, October 29th through November 1st of 2021. White Party spokesperson Jack Ketsoyan said the event will return to the Hilton Palm Springs, with more details released nearer to the time. He also said the 2022 event should return to its regular April spot. The event is the biggest gay circuit party in the U.S. and attracts around 30,000 partygoers. Performers at the event in recent years have included Ariana Grande, Jennifer Lopez, Kylie Minogue, and Lady Gaga. Prior to its cancellation, the 2020 event was to be headlined by Meghan Trainor and Todrick Hall. The new beginning Sanker refers to could partly be a desire to put the pandemic behind him. Although he canceled his events in the U.S., he faced criticism from some quarters for continuing to hold big parties at his Mexico nightclub, Industry, in Puerto Vallarta, and a New Year's event that received international headlines as a COVID super spreader event.
Wasn't that gays over COVID that attacked them?
It was. It got launched because of Jeffrey Sanker.
Hey, they will come for you.
They will. You know, this is really good news. First off, we're sitting here at the beginning of April. White Party Palm Springs was supposed to start in about 4 weeks. It's too early. We all know it's too early. Jeffrey Sanker, good for you to make this decision. You made the right decision to move it into the fall. You are going to have a home run. Palm Springs is going to have a home run. Halloween, October 31st, is Sunday night. You've turned this event into the mega of all mega gay Halloween events in the entire world. And you're going to benefit from that and then fall in 2022 back into your regular rotation in April. You made the right decision. I might even go to Palm Springs.
You want a date, Al? I'm going. Come on, everybody needs a lesbian to take to Palm Springs.
All right.
No? Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
Silent now.
I think they did a great. I think they honestly, it's a great decision to do that. To just move it over to October. Everybody's going to be vaccinated by then. Knock on wood. It'll be much safer. It's going to be a big dope ass party, and it's October, baby. You even make it into a Halloween kind of deal. It's going to be epic. So awesome.
And now it's time to queer up the road to Stonewall. Billy Porter is back for Logo's 2021 LGBTQ State of the Union. This week, the important 2021 LGBTQ State of the Union address was delivered at Logo TV by our gay-in-chief, Billy Porter. With the Orange Menace ousted from the Oval Office, LGBTQ Americans are finally celebrating a new American landscape. The Emmy-winning actor and activist has returned for the third year in a row to deliver Logo's rousing speech assessing the status of LGBTQ acceptance and equality in the United States. Needless to say, a lot has changed in the past year. Between the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic and the nation's new presidential administration, Porter had plenty of ground to cover. Porter said, in quote, "In 2020, I told you our union remained far from broken, and our responsibility as citizens has been more urgent." Excuse me. End quote. The Post-Star begins, end quote, "We survived a year of challenges that seemed insurmountable at times, and while we continue to face many of these adversities in 2021, I can confidently say that our union remains strong as we march towards greatness and inclusivity," end quote. You can go to Logo's website to see the full speech. Hail to the chief. Insert the correct pronoun here.
Yeah, that's a funny joke. A couple of notes. First off, logo. Second, I just point out, this is kind of awkward. I love it. I love Billy Pose. I think what was done in terms of calling attention to an LGBTQ State of the Union is very desirable. But in 2021, it's a little awkward because we have Joe Biden now. The reason why this started 3 years ago is we had a crazy man as president of the United States. And this was counter-programming to say, okay, here's what he says at the State of the Union. Here's what the LGBTQ community says at our State of the Union address. And that's why it was created. So 3 years later, I still love it. I'm not so sure about Logo, but I am certainly celebrating that Billy Porter did it. And I am absolutely celebrating that Joe Biden is going to do the real State of the Union for all of us now, for the LGBTQ community.
Look, here's the thing. I love Billy Porter. Billy Porter can go on TV and just do arm farts, and I will watch. That is just what it is. He's amazing. I love him. His costumes, his outfits are just epic. I love it, love it, love it. Logo? You know, I just figured out that I had Logo the other day. I was watching Golden Girls, and I was like, oh, I have Logo. So I don't really understand all of that. I hope you guys come back with some other programming. You know, I will be watching this State of the Union because I really enjoyed it last year. I do totally agree with you, Al, but again, it's Billy Porter. He just can do no wrong in my eyes.
All right. Well, next let's queer up South Florida. Julian's Fountain of Youth and Flockfest presents Bunnies on the Drive, Sip and Strut this Sunday. You know, I ask, what happens when you combine an Easter bonnet, a sip, a strut, and the most famous gay drive in America? Well, of course, you get Bunnies on the Drive, Sip and Strut, presented by Flockfest. This charitable Easter Sunday good time is for a good cause. Meet at the Wilton Collective here in South Florida on Wilton Drive for the 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. stroll. You will be participating in a progressive bar crawl. This is right up my alley. In Wilton Manors, down Wilton Drive. You can hop your way from the Wilton Collective first to Lit Bar next to Georgie's Alibi, then to the Pub. All of these are sponsors. Next to Drink, love Drink, my favorite bar on Wilton Drive. Then to Hunters, then to the Eagle, and finally to Maddie's, and then probably to the hospital. The Easter Bonnet contest will also include an $850 cash prizes for first, second, and third, and there will be a Gym Bunny contest, which I have no interest in at all. Well, all the Easter Sunday fun will benefit Julian's Fountain of Youth, a local nonprofit providing programs for our LGBTQ youth. Join us this Easter Sunday.
So give a big shout out to Flockfest for doing it again. You guys are just amazing. I love and enjoy the organizations that you choose to support. So thank you. Julian's Fountain of Youth is an amazing organization. So I'm really happy about that. Now let's talk about the gym bunny. Come on. You know, Al, you want to see that. A naked dude with a little rabbit and a tail. Yes, hopping up and down Wilton Drive. Lit after going to all those bars.
Right. Lit is definitely what you're going to be. Question
on
is
Sunday afternoon on the Lord's Day.
It's the Lord's Day, so you know the Lord said, "Drink ye all of it," and that's probably what you're going to do.
Yes, I think I will. Right? It's absolutely going to be a blast. I haven't been into it before. I mean, they do this at Christmas also with a Santa stroll. I haven't been. I can't wait. Flockfest, great for you to do something fun and support our community.
So look out for all of us drunk on the drive on Sunday and on the Lord's Day.
And Flockfest, we're going to be reaching out to you as well.
Yeah.
So that is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies. Queer News Tonight has been LGBTQ America's most important news source on the pandemic, as we have reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020. Tonight, we report the devastating effect coronavirus has had on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total cases and deaths. We also provide hope of a new light at the end of this long tunnel. As of tonight, more than 2,177,000 LGBTQ Americans have contracted COVID-19, and more than 35,500 LGBTQ Americans have died from coronavirus. As of today, more than 147 million vaccination doses have been administered in the U.S.
Well, next up, this is probably the most important Queer Up Quarantine Quickies we will ever report at. Trump's former White House COVID-19 commission now say that 31,430 LGBTQ deaths could have been prevented. More than 39,000 LGBTQ Americans have died due to the coronavirus pandemic. We all know someone who has died or someone that has had friends and family die during the pandemic. It is the largest loss of life to our community in any single 12-month period in American history. But shocking news is now coming out from the former Trump White House Coronavirus Commission this week about the dramatic missteps and political posturing from the Trump administration.
The White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator, Dr. Deborah Birx, illustrates the threat from Trump that were going on behind the scenes. Watch this.
Well, I look at it this way. The first time I knew I was being watched. Everybody inside was waiting for me to make a misstep so that they could, I guess, remove me from the task force. It is extraordinarily widespread. The CNN report in August that got horrible pushback. Everybody who lives in a rural area, you are not immune or protected from this virus. That was a very difficult time because everybody in the White House was upset with that interview and the clarity that I brought about the epidemic.
I can tell just by reading your face, that was a really tough time. What happened?
Well, I got called by the president.
What does he say?
Well, I think you've heard other conversations that people have posted with the president. I would say it was even more direct than what people have heard. It was very uncomfortable, very direct, and very difficult to hear.
Coming to John.
Were you threatened?
I would say it was a very uncomfortable conversation.
Birx, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and the others in the White House inner circle have begun to discuss the rejection of science and health response by the president and his White House advisors. Birx suggests a staggering and wasted loss of life resulted. Watch this.
Well, I look at it this way. The first time we have an excuse. There were about 100,000 deaths that came from that original surge. All of the rest of them, in my mind, could have been mitigated or decreased substantially if we took the lessons we had learned from that moment. That's what bothers me every day.
This is a full-stop observation on President Trump's pandemic response, suggesting 450,000 Americans, including 31,000 LGBTQ deaths, could have been prevented or significantly mitigated if Trump would have followed what the medical advisors had learned. This blistering account was supported yesterday by Trump Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams.
President Trump had a response to the White House officials yesterday, and it was totally Trump. It is clear they hit the bullseye of the truth, as his response was very personal and notable for the size of his response in thousands of words. He belittled Fauci's competency and called Birx a liar. He stated that the former White House coronavirus team were trying to revise history. We have shown you some of the excerpts from his statement here in this conversation now. Trump said, quote, "Based on their interviews, I felt it was time to speak up about Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, two self-promoters trying to reinvent history to cover for their bad instincts and faulty recommendations, which I fortunately almost always overturned. They had bad policy decisions that would have left our country open to China and others, close to reopening our economy, and years away from an approved vaccine, putting millions more lives at risk," end quote. His words and actions will probably not stand up to the test of history and of time. Queer News Tonight remembers all of those lost to COVID-19.
I thought we would have more time before we would have to listen to the Cheeto again. Why? Why? Oh my God, this makes me so upset, guys. I mean, really, over 30,000 LGBTQ people died because of COVID-19, and that didn't have to happen. People's moms, children's, grandmothers. I mean, and then he's gonna go and belittle these scientists? Ah, my God, I'm so furious over this, seriously.
It's clear he might be out of office, but an ass is still gonna talk either way.
Yeah.
It significantly saddens us that, you know, we've had such a rough year, and we need to keep and stay mindful that, you know, we have to be safe for all of those around us that we've loved as well as those that we've lost.
In the first month of the lockdown of 2020, Ron Bernesky, a host at It's Happening Out, died of coronavirus in the first month. And this story will go down in history. The story we've told tonight will go down in history in the LGBTQ community as not only the single largest number of deaths in our community in a 12-month period ever in the history of our nation, but it will also go down in history to frame the entire history of Donald Trump. He, through his lack of inactions, his lack of actions that were poor in his choices, and his political posturing for his own personal needs, likely, as Dr. Birx suggests, caused the needless death of 31,000 men, women, non-binary people in the LGBTQ community. The largest extreme political right today will sit with him. But 10 years from now, history will begin to rewrite the history of Donald Trump. And this story for our community will be almost at the top of the list.
That is our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next, we report that Happening Out Television Network is passionate about our support for the LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest progressive queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and is totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Taisha Best, your queer community servant, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible. Finally, we thank our Queer News Tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our host and guests stay at this LGBTQ alley partner. We encourage you to stay here when visiting South Florida.
Well, next up, Queer News Tonight is proud to support our local influencers, personalities, drag queens, artists, entertainers, and businesses here in South Florida. And tonight we are happy to feature Hector Castaneda and George Zambrano, founders and owners of House of Trouble.
Ever since they met 12 years ago, they have shared publicly their story of love, adventure, and family as genuinely as they can, while balancing being queer individuals in the professional world has allowed them to inspire their peers. Their love has flourished into more than just a great story, but a beautiful community of friends and family that like to push each other to achieve their full potential.
They like to portray themselves as role models to the LGBTQ+ community in South Florida, as they have achieved what queer youth tends to see as unattainable dreams. One of those ideas was to create a clothing line that would represent them, their community, and the vibrant sayings they hear around Miami. Created House of Trouble, with designs that are relatably risque and bold, conversation starters.
Well, to tell us more about their relationship, their brand, and what's next for the House of Trouble is founders and owners Hector Castaneda and George Zambrano. Welcome, both of you, to Queer News Tonight.
Thank you all. Thank you, John, Faye, for
Well,
having us.
I want to first, of course, I wanted, we're gay after all, LGBTQ. I want to jump into to relationship. You are together as partners, working in a business brand, which means probably 22 of your 24 hours a day are with each other. How do you survive that? Do all of the dirt. Let's get that right out of the way.
So yeah, like we met really young in the game, you know, back in high school when we were 15 years old. So I guess we've learned how to be together. We're you know, more than a couple, we're best friends. You know, being so young together, we've gone through many firsts. He was my first kiss, I was his first kiss, you know, first prom date, graduations, all that. So I think like going through life together has taught us how to, you know, deal with each other, I guess.
Hector, you just made me throw up a little bit in my mouth right there.
I know, me
Okay,
too.
no, come
Faye,
on.
Here's the proof that that's not true. Faye and I are best friends, but I can't stand her for more than 14, 15 minutes.
That's about it.
Tops.
That's about it.
I'm curious, George, how have you managed this?
Well, I mean, coping with him, it's not that hard.
I'm easy. I'm not that hard to cope with.
But honestly, we have our own time. We like to set up our times apart. So we're very into that. Like, he'll have his space, I'll have my space, so that when we are together, we don't have any like cluster or anything that we want to fight about. We're constantly, when we're together, we're in like this like positive mindset is like what we like to be ready for.
Okay, what's the last fight you guys had? Please, I'm throwing up in my mouth again.
We don't fight.
We don't fight.
Oh my.
We don't fight.
All right.
We have conversations. We
All right.
talk about it. We
Then
talk
let's
about
talk about
what-
something much more interesting than the two of you, because you're not in it.
Oh, they're cute.
Let's talk about House of Trouble.
Yes.
First off, and I wasn't familiar with the brand. I love the name. I'm gravitating instantly toward the name because it is just naughty enough to say, oh, there's something going on here. Tell us a bit about House of Trouble.
Well, so House of Trouble, HOT for short, is an apparel and event
Hot.
brand.
I just got that.
You just
You
got
just
that
figured
out.
that
Dios
out?
mío, pero de por
The
Dios.
slowest person in
Yeah.
the studio tonight. All right. House of
But-
Trouble, hot.
We sell apparel and create unforgettable events. So our apparels are pretty much designed from sayings that we hear around Miami and things that our community says, a lot of queer sayings. And then our events, we like to build around new experience for people and also creating a sense of community where people can come together and kind of network, but in a very more risque, naughty kind of way.
Ooh, I like that.
You
Look
know,
at that.
like
Look at the
more-
face he gave. Ooh, I love
And
it.
the shoulders and the neck.
And the shoulders
Oh,
and the
there's
neck.
a lot.
all
There's a
about
lot.
all
do
of
the
that.
Alexis
Do that.
to me.
Do that. Ay, eso. No, and I love their tagline, boys. Listen to their tagline, all right? Minimalist style for the modern hoe. That's basic. That's their tagline, all right? That's it. You know.
Now, both of you are wearing products that you do at the House of Trouble. Tell us some of the lines. So you're at the Gathering, or you're at Club Fort Lauderdale, and that was kind of a joke. And you're hearing phrases that you pick up. What kind of phrases do you hear that you've incorporated in the House of Trouble?
So we have a list, an ongoing list on our phones that anytime that we're out and about with our friends and we hear something funny or catchy, we immediately write it down. So some of the phrases that we have, for example, one of the hits is "La que no es puta no disfruta," which it translates, Georgie, into if you're not...
You don't have fun if you're not a hoe, baby.
Right, right. Or "Taken but not blind." You know, "Plant Daddy," that we gravitate towards plants. We have over 50 plants in our small studio, so it's very us. It's very, our brand is a piece of us.
Yeah. You know, interesting to me in terms of how you incorporate and take those ideas to your brand and create and expand your brand. I've said this for years. Bianca Del Rio has never written an original joke in her entire life. She has only walked through her life stealing everyone else. Oh, wait,
You're
that's
so
a
mean
different
now.
story. That's a different story.
I hope she's watching right now.
Right. I love Bianca, of course. Other than shirts, do you use other products, or pretty much you focus on your shirt brand?
Well, right now we're doing shirts. We are expanding. COVID kind of put a pause on House of Trouble. Right now, with the pandemic slowly getting over and everyone getting vaccinated, we're getting ready to really go full blown. So we'll be, I don't want to say too much, but maybe some swimsuits in the future.
Okay, Andrew Christian in the making here. Yeah, that would be nice. I'm curious, your development as partners, and both business and in life, do you see any differences in what you're doing in developing your brand at House of Trouble, shirts, etc., to somebody broad in the broad community and the development? Is your eye different for the LGBTQ community than somebody that would be outside the LGBTQ community?
Do you mean like the designs that we're producing are?
Yeah, I mean, do you think you come at it in a different way? Is sense of humor more important for what you do, for example, than outside of the community?
Well, our focus when we're creating one of our designs is that we want it to be like a conversation starter. So everything that we design is things that sometimes are a little too much to put on a shirt. For example, one of my new favorite ones is "Break My Hole, Not My Heart."
Aww,
and I mean, it is what it is. So that could be a little too much for some brands to use. So we're House of Trouble, and we're not afraid to put that on our shirt. And it kind of like someone that's wearing that, you're really representing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we are different from other people.
You should get like a shirt that says, "I'm vaccinated, let's F."
That's part of the list. Let me write that on the list.
Thank you for that one. We'll
and what is your percentage cut? For that creative?
We'll send you a shirt.
Right.
I'm vaccinated. Let's.
And I'm curious, in terms of where you sell, most you do it online. Is that how you transact most of your business?
Yeah. So we started off 2 years ago with an Etsy store, but we've recently transitioned into having our own website, which is houseoftrouble.org. Easy.
Houseoftrouble.org. Let me repeat that for you.
And yeah, we are planning on through that website promote our events and promote other things in the community. We're working on a monthly newsletter, which will also feature events in the community or other up and coming artists or entrepreneurs in our queer little family.
Well, one final thought in terms of the brand. Let me see if I can create a little House of Trouble on my own. So you have this new emerging brand, the two of you together. You have one of you from Venezuela, one of you from Colombia. You're in Miami, and you definitely have the Miami vibe. So we have Dade County, and we have Miami, and we have Broward County and Fort Lauderdale and Wilton. Which do you like better?
Oof.
Ooh, wow.
That's a tough question.
Wow.
That is a tough question.
We're very versatile, so I would say
That is the perfect
we travel and we host, either up north or down south, wherever the fun is.
Yeah, you host or you go to. George, you and Hector are going to do great in this business, I assure you. So tell everybody one more time, how do we get in touch with House of Trouble?
So yeah, you can go through houseoftrouble.org, which is our store, or follow us on Instagram, which is at house.of.trouble, or our personal joint account, which is at HJ Double Trouble.
You even have an account together? Oh my
Yeah.
God, boys!
Don't go there because you're gonna throw up even more.
I am going to throw up even more. All right, so go check out the boys, houseoftrouble.org. Pick up their merchandise. I got another one for you. Perra.
Yeah.
Oh, we
That's a
have
good
that
one. You have that one?
Baby.
Oh, I
Perra
love that.
sucia.
What did you-
Sucia. I love
what did
that.
you say?
Tenemos perra sucia, la que no es puta no disfruta.
Wait, did we become Univision or what happened here? What happened?
I love it.
Thank you, boys, for being here with
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
And go
Thanks so much
check
for
out their
having us.
stuff, okay? It's really cool stuff. Support our community.
Yeah.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing, ring the bell for updates, share this news. We are the only LGBTQ television live video news in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Faye What and John Buckley, we will see you daily, and that means tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night.